Have you ever felt completely exhausted by a relationship or a work dynamic, but you just couldn't quite put your finger on exactly why? Well, welcome back, Focus Learners, to another edition of The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you today because we're looking at something incredibly powerful. It's a piece of source material titled The Architecture of Emotional Control. We're going to unpack the hidden structural blueprints behind why certain situations leave us feeling completely stuck, totally drained, and honestly just second-guessing our own reality. If you love understanding the precise mechanics behind complex human behavior and seeing those hidden dynamics mapped out clearly, well, you are in exactly the right place. So, why do we fight so hard for games we can never win? I mean, it's a profoundly frustrating human experience, isn't it? Pouring your energy into a situation, constantly striving, trying to fix things, over-communicating, and yet you never actually succeed or find any real peace. You might even think it's your fault, right? Like, maybe it's a flaw in your communication style, or just a lack of effort on your part. But as the source material reveals, it's not an accident. It's an architecture. It's a system built specifically to yield this exact result. Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. The moving goalposts.
This is where the trap actually begins. You see, in any healthy dynamic, success has a clear, agreed-upon definition. You know what's expected of you, and when you meet that expectation, boom, there's a mutual recognition of success. But the architecture of emotional control fundamentally changes the rules so that winning becomes, quite literally, mathematically impossible. The source material lays down the foundational rule of this entire system. No matter what you do, it is never enough. Why? Because the standards keep changing. Your actions, your extra hours, your really careful apologies, they're all rendered completely irrelevant because the criteria for success are intentionally unstable. Imagine playing a game where the referee just keeps changing the rules while the ball is literally still in the air. That's the exact environment this system creates. And this brilliantly illustrates how this mechanism plays out in real time. On one side, we have your actions. You step up, you improve, you fix that one specific issue that was pointed out to you last week. You think, okay, great, finally we can move past this. But look at the reaction. Immediately a new complaint appears. Another issue is actively created, almost out of thin air. You're given this really brief illusion of progress, only to have it snatched away by a newly manufactured problem. It's a brilliant, if utterly exhausting mechanism to keep you entirely off balance, ensuring you spend all your energy just playing defense. Section 2. The illusion of stability. Now, let's look at the immense psychological toll this relentless, shifting cycle takes on a person. According to the text, this dynamic keeps you in what's called a constant proving mode. Think about those two words carefully, proving mode. Because the goalposts from that earlier phase are always shifting, you are forced into an endless, exhausting performance. This actually manifests in daily life as hyper-vigilance. You find yourself over-explaining your entirely normal choices, carefully curating your words to avoid setting off a trap, or constantly scanning the room for the next sudden shift in mood. You are constantly on trial, trying to demonstrate your worth, your commitment, or your competence. But here's the kicker. The jury is rigged, so they will never, ever deliver a final verdict in your favor. So the crucial point is this stark warning from our source material. Red flag, you're always trying to earn stability that never arrives. The stability you're chasing isn't just delayed because of bad luck or poor timing. No, it is designed by the system to never arrive. This architecture actually requires instability to function at all. If you ever achieved real footing, if you ever felt truly secure, the controller's leverage over you would vanish in an instant. Therefore, you're forced to run on a psychological treadmill that literally has no stop button, burning all your energy just to avoid falling off. Section 3. The ultimate control element. We're shifting now from the tactical level, those day-to-day moving goalposts and proving modes, to the overarching psychological strategy at play here. And this is where things get truly fascinating. The source material introduces what it calls the final 0.01% insight. It is the rare, deeply hidden truth that completely recontextualizes the entire architectural system we just covered. Once you understand this tiny fraction of a percent, the whole chaotic machine suddenly makes terrifying sense. See, we naturally assume that the strongest form of control over another person is fear. We picture intimidation, overt threats, obvious aggression. But the source reveals that the absolute strongest control is actually a highly potent, hidden mixture of emotional dependency and confusion. True, deep, systemic control doesn't need you to be terrified and cowering in a corner. It needs you to be utterly confused about where you stand and completely dependent on the very source of that confusion for your answers and your validation. When you're confused, you seek clarity, right? And in this architecture, you are manipulated into seeking that clarity from the architect themselves. Section 4, creating the trauma bond. Let's move to and see how this builds, mapping out exactly how this profound dependency and confusion are actively and systematically manufactured, step by step. I mean, this is the literal recipe for control. Step 1, they give you intense highs. Great praise, incredible connection, a feeling of absolute worth and being deeply understood. Then, step 2, they create sudden lows. The cold shoulder, the withdrawal of affection, those shifting goalposts we talked about earlier. And finally, the linchpin, step 3, they blame you for the lows. They tell you that you caused the drop in the dynamic. This sequential trap manipulates your emotions from an absolute peak to a devastating valley, and crucially, gaslights you into believing you're the one holding the shovel. And here is the devastating, incredibly counterintuitive biological reality of this specific sequence. Your brain bonds deeper, not weaker. When you're subjected to those intense highs followed by blamed upon lows, your brain doesn't rationally tell you to just run away. Instead, it gets hijacked by its own neurochemistry. The intense highs flood your system with dopamine, creating a really powerful reward circuit. Then, the sudden manufactured lows trigger a massive spike in cortisol and stress hormones. To relieve that profound stress, your brain fiercely seeks a return to the dopamine high, neurochemically attaching you even more deeply to the person pulling the levers. The cycle strengthens the connection instead of breaking it, because your brain becomes literally chemically addicted to trying to get back to that initial baseline. Now, what's really interesting about this is that this entire invisible architecture has a formal name in psychology, a trauma bond. It's defined perfectly here as the direct results of intense highs, engineered lows, and blame, causing your brain to bond deeper to the source of the cycle. It completely locks in our understanding of the source material's ultimate revelation. If you find yourself stuck in this kind of situation, you aren't weak, you aren't stupid, and you aren't broken. You have been systematically trained and biologically wired to stay in the maze by an environment perfectly designed to keep you there. Recognizing the architecture is the very first step to dismantling it. As we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with a direct, challenging thought. Are you chasing stability, or are you just feeding a cycle? Take the structural realities we've uncovered today, the mathematically impossible moving goalposts, the exhausting proving mode, the engineered trauma bond, and apply them to the dynamics in your own life. Are you genuinely building a foundation with someone, or have you been tricked into running a race with literally no finish line? Keep learning, keep analyzing the hidden structures around you, and I'll see you next time for another explainer.